August 27, 1891, the Bostian's Bridge train wreck took the lives of 23 people and was one of the state's deadliest. Now, a tragedy like this typically fades into memory, becomes a part of history. But this story lives on due to ghostly tales surrounding the train wreck, strange occurrences over the years, and a paranormal hunting team in 2010 that went looking for ghosts but instead came upon a real locomotive with deadly consequences. The Richmond and Danville Railroad had once been vital, an essential transportation line for the Confederacy during the Civil War, connecting the capital of Richmond to the rest of the South. But by 1891, the railroad was failing, just months from going into receivership, with aging railroad lines receiving little upkeep. Around 2:30 in the morning on the 27th, the Richmond and Danville No. 9 left Statesville pulling 6 cars, including a first-class coach, a second-class coach, a Pullman sleeper, and the private rail car of the Richmond and Danville superintendent. They were about a half hour late, and engineer William West was pushing to make up time. Fewer than 5 minutes later, the train plunged off Bostian's Bridge. Estimates were that the train was traveling at 35 to 40 miles an hour when it caromed off the 60-foot-high, 5-span brick structure. The sleeping car traveled 153 feet through the air before hitting the ground. The 30 survivors were cared for at the Bostian family home place nearby or taken to Statesville to recover in private homes. The dead were taken to a nearby tobacco warehouse for identification. NCPD says thousands of onlookers arrived at the scene of the tragedy in the following days, viewing the wreckage from the bridge or going through the debris below. So why did the train go off the bridge? Well, that was a mystery. A coroner's inquest blamed it on unknown persons removing rail spikes from the rail ties, causing the rails to shift as the train approached the bridge. Others said that the rails had just been neglected for too long by the railroad, and Richmond and Danville, being a struggling railroad, wouldn't be able to afford the lawsuits if the blame was placed on them. Railroad detectives swarmed the area, questioning nearby residents. Some were detained to no avail. It took 5 years for 2 men already in the state penitentiary to be convicted based on evidence that they had spoken of their alleged crimes to other inmates. Then came the reports of ghostly sightings. Now, as legend has it, it was exactly 50 years after the original train wreck. A woman was waiting by her broken down car near Bostian's Bridge. Her husband had gone to fetch a mechanic. It said that she heard the sound of a train going off that bridge, including the blood-curdling screams of the passengers aboard. And when the husband and the mechanic arrived, they searched the area and found nothing. Later, the couple arrived in Statesville and they were told about that train crash 50 years earlier. It's said the woman fainted. A year later, a husband and wife, along with her young nephew, stopped to see the bridge. The woman got her foot tangled in a rail tie, couldn't be freed, and fainted as a train approached. Amazingly, all 3 laid flat near the edge of the bridge and escaped injury. A book of ghost stories published in 1970 further established the legend, and ghost hunters began examining the site. In 2010, a group of a dozen paranormal researchers on the 119th anniversary of the crash were on the bridge when they thought they heard the ghost train approaching. Initially, they didn't run. As it turns out, what the group had seen and heard was an actual Norfolk Southern train. Realizing their mistake, they ran across the bridge, trying to make it to the other side. Most made it to safety. One woman narrowly avoided death. She was pushed by her boyfriend 40 feet off the bridge. She survived. Her boyfriend didn't. A few years after the 1891 wreck, the Richmond and Danville Railroad was purchased by the newly formed Southern Railway, which became part of Norfolk Southern in the 1980s. Trains still travel those lines and still cross Bostian's Bridge, forever famous for a tragedy and the legend it left behind. Continue to learn at home with other great videos from the North Carolina Transportation Museum on Facebook, YouTube, and nctrans.org. The North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer is the museum that moves you.